634 is going to be the invitation song. 634. You want to turn to Mark chapter 11. That's where we will start tonight. And I just titled this Asking in Faith, or Faith in Asking, whichever way you want to say it. And in Mark chapter 11, in verses 23 and 24, let's read those. This is Jesus speaking. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says is going to happen, it shall be granted him. And some time ago, I brought a lesson to you about mustard seed faith. And I asked you, did you have faith the size of a mustard seed? And this was one of the passages that we looked at in that sermon, because in that passage about the mustard seed, it says if you have faith as a mustard seed, that the things that you ask will happen. And then, of course, here it talks about ripping up a tree and casting it into the sea, or a mountain, and casting it into a sea. But then the next verse says, therefore I say to you, all things for which you pray and ask, believe that you have received them, and they shall be granted to you. Just think about that for a minute. When you pray for something, do you think about it as though you've already received it? I don't know that I always take it that far. And that's what we're talking about here tonight. That's what Jesus says. Believe that you have received them. And so when you ask for something, you are supposed to have so much faith that God will make it happen, that you believe that you've already received what you asked for. That's pretty powerful. That's very powerful. Okay, now let's turn over to James chapter 1. We'll look at verses 5 through 8. Here James says, but if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men generously and without reproach, and it shall be given to him. Of course, this is specifically talking about wisdom, but I think that it applies to other things that you ask about as well. God gives to all men generously. Okay, so let's remember that. God is very generous, and he has at his hands everything. Anything you can imagine, and even things you have not thought about, God can do for you. Isn't that amazing? That's what God has available. He generously gives it. All right, verse 6. But let him ask in faith, without any doubting. For the one who doubts is like the surf of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. So we're to ask in faith, and we're not to doubt, even just a little bit. If you have even just a little bit of doubt, it's probably not going to happen. You're not going to get what you pray for. You have to believe it when you pray it. You really do. Verse 7, for let not that man expect that he will receive anything from the Lord, being a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Why is he double-minded? Well, he asks like he's expecting something to happen, but then he doubts that it's going to happen. So he's double-minded. All right, then over in James chapter 4, turn over there, verse 3. It says, you ask and do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, so that you may spend it on your pleasures. So when we ask God for something, it matters what our motives are. Okay? It matters a lot. It looks like God doesn't want us asking for things that are going to be pleasure related. There's probably a fine line there somewhere. You know, we need to ask for the things that we need. I think the things that make life comfortable. We need to ask for things that help others. But we probably shouldn't be praying that we are able to go to Disney World. That's probably a waste of a prayer. We probably shouldn't be praying that, oh, I'll get $1 million. That's a waste of a prayer. We shouldn't be praying that I hope my team, I pray that my team wins the football game. God doesn't care about football. We should be praying that people are safe, that they can play without having any injuries, you know, those kinds of things. But the outcome of the game doesn't matter to God. That's a waste of a prayer. And there's probably a lot more things that we could mention there, but don't pray so that you waste it on your pleasures, because if you pray for that, it's not going to happen. So it matters what our motives are. All right, now turn to Matthew chapter 7, and we'll look at some more words of Jesus. Matthew chapter 7, beginning at verse 7. Jesus says, ask and it shall be given to you. Well, that's what we've already been talking about, right? If you ask in faith and with the right motives, God's going to give it to you. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened to you. So it requires some effort on our part. We got to ask. We got to seek. We got to knock. We can't just sit there and just wait for something to fall out of the sky into our laps. We got to be busy doing the things that we can do. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it shall be opened. Wow. God's going to answer our prayers. If we ask him, he's going to give it to us. If we seek it, he's going to help us find it. If we knock, that means we're seeking opportunities. God's going to open those doors. But we got to do our part. We got to ask, seek, and knock. Verse 9, or what man is there among you, when his son shall ask him for a loaf, will give him a stone? Or if he shall ask for a fish, he will not give him a snake, will he? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? Okay, so Jesus is comparing God to the fathers upon this earth. Our fathers mean to do us well, right? They want the best for us. And if we ask them for something that's good for us, they'll give it to us. Those of us who have had fathers, we know how that works. And those of us who are fathers now, we know how that works. We want good things for our children. And so Jesus is comparing our Father in heaven with the fathers upon this earth. And he says, if the fathers on this earth know how to give good things, being as evil as they are, don't you know that God, who is righteous, can even do even better than that? He's going to be doing good for you as well. He wants to give you good things. And he will. As long as it's in his will to do so, he will give us the things that we ask. And we should always pray that it be His will be done. And if it is according to His will, and it's something good for us, He won't withhold that. He'll give it to us. And so we have to ask in faith and not doubt. We have to ask with the right motives. We have to ask, seek, and knock. And we have to believe that when we ask for something, we've already received it. That's how much we have to believe in it. That's not doubting, not even a little bit. And so if we do those things, He will give us the things that are good, that are within His will. I hope it's been profitable for you. I hope it's been a good little reminder. And if there's any need in the audience to make anything right in your life, now is the time to do it. Come while we stand and sing.